Don't Take My Baby. It's a sort of factual-based drama written by Jack Thorne, who brought us The Fades and Glue and probably other dramas that have been cancelled after their first series.
Shame.
This starred two newcomers, would you say? Ruth
Yes.
Madeley and Anna
I
Long.
recognise either of them.
Basically, the central couple are Anna and Tom. She's in a wheelchair. She suffers from a degenerative spinal condition, is it? Is that what she
Yeah.
had?
It was muscle wasting.
Muscle wasting. And Tom was sort of losing his sight. He was going sort of blinder and blinder. And they have a child, Danielle, and the drama is basically seeing the side of like the social workers and the care team assessing if they can properly care for their baby, seeing as they've both got these disabilities, and Tom cares for Anna as well. He's her primary carer. Gary, tell me what you think of this.
This was really genuine drama, and you really felt empathy for the characters, because you saw that there was a real concern amongst the health authorities and the hospital for the well-being of the child, but there wasn't much about the parents. There was nobody advocating on behalf of the parents, which I thought was unusual, and I think there was a wonderful tension throughout the whole show of the parents versus the organisation and things like that. But I think at the end it was just a heartwarming piece. It had a good ending, which I think was important, and I know that's probably
I'm glad
not.
they had a heartwarming.
Yeah. And the other thing that was very interesting was I thought the role played by the parents. I think his parents didn't really seem to factor into it at all. There was one scene with them with the social worker kind of explaining their concerns, but her mother was a very interesting character. And when the scene between her and Tom, where she said, "I didn't want to see my daughter die,"
well, that was both the parents.
was
They were all
very,
around the
very
table,
heart-touching. It was very touching.
Yeah, I like my favourite bit, and I think this. I agree with sort of everything Gary says there. I think this is the kind of thing that BBC Three do so well. It reminded me a lot of Murdered by My Boyfriend, in terms of the sort of tough subject that it's taking on. My sort of favourite poignant scene you mentioned there was when they left the hospital without their baby, and there was just a shot of the baby, like the empty baby carrier, and I thought that was really, really poignant. Luke, what did you think?
I was deeply affected by this. I really we watch a lot of stuff, and most things don't get to me, but this really,
I think
really
it got
did.
to me as well.
I mean, they had barely said two words, and I felt immediate sympathy for the two leads. I thought for virtual newcomers, I thought each performance was flawless. Not the drama, but bits of the situation they were in wound me up. But I think on reflection, that's good, because it affected me in that way too. The bit where they were showing them the cooking DVD was incredibly moving and just felt really genuine.
What I did like
and
as
real
well
to
is
me.
that how they didn't sort of vilify the social worker, and you saw her, trying her best to advocate. You said there wasn't anyone sort of fighting their corner, but I think she was in a way.
I also really appreciated the fact that they didn't, once they got her home, the story could have been how they, got on and how they thrived.
Yeah, no,
but I really appreciated the fact that they showed their struggle, that there was that really difficult, brutal scene where they had the row and she's left on the ground.
At the same time, I kept thinking, do most normal couples have similar issues? Obviously, it is intensified by the fact that they have these regular checkups that they have to have everything perfect for, and obviously he has to care for her. He's basically sort of caring for two people. I've just got a sort of general question here, because one of the reviews I read quite rightly said, this is why BBC Three should stay around, blah, 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 this is the only drama.
Yeah.
But why, I want to ask you, why couldn't this drama be on BBC One or BBC Two?
I think it would have been an excellent show to put on BBC One. Because I think it would have fitted in brilliantly. I don't see any reason why not.
But do you not agree that BBC One's almost a bit too safe, and this would sort of
BBC One's got its own little agenda going on at the moment. I think the problem with if it had gone on BBC Two, they would have put it on later, which would be a massive mistake.
I think as well. I was thinking it was very similar in tone to the C Word. Obviously, that maybe had a bit more humour to it, but because the C Word had Sheridan Smith, who's a big name in it.
That's right. So I mean, it was more of a mainstream.
So I think the thing is with BBC One is that you've got to have a big star. If you haven't, then it sort of gets lost.
Because like I said, it really affected me, and when I got over it, I was genuine. I mean, I've been upset before about the BBC Three thing, but I was genuinely upset after watching that because I thought there'll be no place for that sort of thing anymore, and there will be no place for this
I would hope
anymore.
that Channel 4, who have equally done such good drama, would be the place.
I was going to say, of the terrestrial channels, I could only see this being on Channel 4. That's the only
upside to this is we won't know what we're missing, will we? It's not like...
No, I suppose you won't. Can I just say that there was just one thing that... a minor criticism, and it's a real minor criticism. I felt that they could have done a better job of showing the limited sight of Tom's character.
Yeah,
they did it a couple of times.
One scene, wasn't there, when he was walking down a high street, and they showed this kind of tunnel vision bit, which was very effective because I think you got an awful lot of input on her restrictions. I
agree with you.
Get much of his restrictions and
I agree with you, but to the same end, I think the time he fell twice. Once when he was holding the baby for the first time after a bath, and secondly when he slipped. And I think because we didn't know they were coming, they were more shocking, surprising, and
I know where Gary's coming from.
I know as well. I appreciate that as well.
But wasn't there a scene where he looked in the mirror and stuff like that himself, and you sort of got...
there was.
That. I think, we didn't always need to sort of see through his eyes. We could get the impression that, his eyesight was... Because he was such a good actor.
Yeah.
I don't think we needed sort of, visual props to see that, his eyesight is getting worse. You can see this.
The writing for this was so... believable. You could tell it was a young writer. I love the language that they used. I love that they didn't overuse bad language, and they the two people had genuine conversations with one another. They had genuine arguments with one another. Their relationship felt real. Their connection felt real. I love the fact that they were flawed as well. There was that one scene where she said, during the argument, she says, "Will you take my carer's allowance?"
Yeah.
And he says, "Well, why don't you do anything? Why don't you clean?" I love the fact that their disability wasn't the story of them. It was just something they were dealing with on top of all the other rubbish.
I think that's the general gist of this whole season that BBC Three. It's sort of challenging.
It's called. I incorrectly called it the disability season. It's actually called Defying the Label.
Yeah, Defying the Label.
And I think this did it brilliantly.